Hello everyone! I know this video is coming a little late. I was busy with some work, but I still wanted to have my top 10 list of the worst games in 2014. There were some really bad games last year, so let's get started. But before we do, just keep in mind that this is my personal list, so don't be too critical.
So actually, this is not a mission. Everything we're going to showcase today is completely systemic, and we're free to do as we please.
Brace yourselves as you are looking at supposed GTA 5 killer, but unfortunately the end result was far more disappointing. Watch Dogs is uninteresting and just plain as boring. With so many side missions, you would thought that you had something to do in the game. And you will be wrong, because all the side missions are the same, just on different parts of the map. God, I got so bored while playing this game that I couldn't even finish the main campaign. Game got no redemption for multiplayer either, because servers on PC were always crashing, and the icing on the shitcake is the infamous graphics downgrade controversy. We are starting off this list with one of the most hyped games ever, and Watch Dogs was not only disappointing but also awful.
The access code to the server room.
Undoubtedly the worst racing game of the year, The Crew is another Ubisoft title on this list. For a supposed open world racing, The Crew felt really short, missions became so repetitive, and the maps were the only things that were changing. No matter how good your car is, it seems that AI is always keeping up with you. Awkward physics make racing even more unnatural, graphics are nothing that you would tell your mom about, and the story is so unnecessary for this kind of racing game. And average acting doesn't make it better. To get anywhere you have to do a lot of grinding to upgrade your car or to buy a new one. But if you are one of those spoiled, fat, rich kids who doesn't like to put too much effort in a game, don't worry, because The Crew also uses money transactions. And I'm so used to this shit, I'm not even surprised anymore. To make your racing experience even worse, the game requires always DRM. Yeah, because it always ends well. Another video game that I couldn't finish, Rambo the video game. I have no idea why this game is even existing. Rambo the video game is boring on-rail shooter with the stupid quick time events from time to time. A game so cheap, it uses voices from the original movie.
I could have killed them all. I could have killed you. In town you're the law. Out here it's me.
Aside from being a terrible game, developers also want to lure you in a trap of buying this shit with false screenshots of in-game gameplay. Game looks nothing like this. Nothing. Rambo the video game is currently 37 euros on Steam and it's not even worth one. And why the hell did they want to make a new Rambo game in this day and age? I mean, how many of you wanted a Rambo video game? How many? Speaking of unnecessary games, Deus Ex The Fall is prequel to excellent Human Revolution, but it is nowhere near as good as that game. You play as highly uninteresting mercenary called Ben Saxon, who can access shop anytime in a game, even in combat, thus destroying any chance of tension this game was hoping to achieve. Combat is terrible, because of its stupid AI and awkward cover system. Voice acting isn't even any better. I can't count how many times I almost burst into laughing of how terrible it is.
Anna, what's wrong? You're unsteady. I'm fine. As good as can be expected.
Are you skipping your meds? I know you're not sleeping. Come on, talk to me.
It doesn't matter. The clock is ticking, Ben. You know they're out there looking for us.
No effort was put into it, and you get the feeling like they just wanted to get the job done, get the money and go home. Story is average at best, and constant loading screens will drive you crazy. Bodies disappear for no goddamn reason, and enemies will never chase you once you leave that part of the map. Even for a mobile game, this game is awful, and don't be fooled just because it has a Deus Ex in the title. Just remember the Invisible War.
Happening to me.
2014 was full of disappointments, and Daylight is no exception. Daylight is supposed to be a horror game that is trying to scare you with constant crunch noises in the background. The only enemy in the game is never a real threat, because you can scare her off with flares that you will never run out of. Linear gameplay is another issue with this game. There is barely any difference in levels, except for the part when you are outside. And with the fact that your main character can always sprint is the last nail in the coffin of this so-called horror game. The game is also awfully short and leaves some story elements unexplained. I could compare this game with equally disappointing Amnesia Machine for Pigs, but since that game came out in 2013, I can't put it on this list. Bad video game based on a movie? Gee, what a shock! The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is nothing more than a repetitive and glitchy mess with bad combat that tries poorly to imitate Batman. For a game that has a small number of enemy types, it does have many Spider-Man villains, but to battle with them and overhaul story is just weak. Pedestrians do nothing but walk, and they make the whole city seem so unreal. The whole game just feels lazy. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 might satisfy the hardcore fans to some level, but for the rest of us, there is just nothing to keep us playing. Did you ever wanted to combine a Warhammer 40k with tower defense? Neither have I, but it looks like EU Technics made this game anyway, made by the creators of such gems like Right to Hell Retribution and Hot Wheels Beat Death. Storm of Vengeance is another shit stain on Warhammer license. Slow and boring, you won't play this game for more than 10 minutes before uninstalling it and happily replace free space with pornography. Another poor attempt to cash in of a popular license, and unfortunately this game isn't the first and not the last. God, fuck this game. We can't have a top 10 worst games list without EA. This shameless title is another game in a legendary Dungeon Keeper series that started in 1997. After so many years of waiting, players are rewarded with pay-to-win mechanics, constantly forcing you to throw money at this garbage that is supposed to be free to play. It just goes to show you how many of so-called free-to-play games can be played without you giving them money. These shady practices are too many in number, especially in mobile gaming. Instead of making a game that should be just bought once, they are secretly exploiting you under the banner of free-to-play without you even fucking knowing it. This game created such a mess that EA even had to apologize. Again.
In order to succeed here, you have to be a well-rounded Robertson.
What? What the fuck? No, I'm not even going to explain why this game sucks. Just think about it. Duck Dynasty video game. Yeah, who doesn't want to play as a bunch of rednecks in their everyday life? Did someone who isn't in a mental institution really thought this was a good idea? A Duck Dynasty video game. I'm sorry, I just can't wrap my mind around it. What? Why? Probably the worst video game of the century. This game should just fade into oblivion and all of us should just forget about it. And the sad part is, the absurd game like this is definitely not the last. Oh, I can't wait for the next year when Pawn Shop, the video game, is coming out. That's it, guys. The last year's worst games list. 2014 was one of the worst years for video games, and we can only hope that 2015 will be better. Thank you everybody for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like, it would really mean a lot, and see you guys later.